A friend of mine who's an incredibly sharp leader in the tech world won a competition at Amazon. Not exactly a small achievement. It was a competition where thousands, I think maybe over 10,000 people submitted ideas. They narrowed it down to the top 500, then 100, then 50, then 10, and his rose to the top. So he's standing there, heart pounding, because he's about to do what very few people in the world will ever do. He's about to pitch his idea to Jeff Bezos. But then something happened. Something awkward, something uncomfortable, something that my friend kind of smiled when he was telling me about, something that revealed one of the most powerful leadership principles you and I will ever learn. It's called disagree and commit. And this story is going to challenge you as a Christian leader, pastor, entrepreneur, teacher, parent, small business owner to rethink how you handle tension, conflict, and leadership decisions. My friend's name is Ashish Majmundar. He's brilliant. He's creative. He's disciplined. He's the kind of guy you want on your leadership team. And now he's one of the leading directors at Google. I've known Ashish more than 20 years, back when we were both in seminary and my wife and I taught his child in kindergarten Sunday school class. He'd entered one of Amazon's big internal tech competitions. It was a next billion-dollar idea challenge. Amazon gets thousands of submissions every year and they pick the very best concept and narrow it down, wanting to explore or invest in it. And his idea won. And it doesn't surprise me as Ashish is brilliant and everything he does, he goes full throttle. He grew up in India and he practiced cricket 10 to 12 hours a day, wanting to become a professional cricket player. Now he's, like I said, a top-level director at Google. Anyway, back to his story. Weeks of preparation, late nights, slide after slide after slide after slide, fine-tuned, polished, rehearsed, hundreds of hours in this presentation. This was his moment, the kind of moment that can shape a career, the kind that can open doors, that can lead to things that leaders only dream about. And so the day comes, he walks into a room filled with some of the most powerful people at Amazon, senior engineers, top VPs, strategy officers, and Jeff Bezos himself. Cues up his laptop, and Ashish looks at the screen. Everything's perfect. And Bezos leans forward and says, "Hey, we don't do PowerPoint at Amazon." Imagine that moment. You've spent weeks preparing your slides. This is your one shot, and the most influential business leader in the world just killed your entire presentation with one sentence. But before Ashish can even react, he's just kind of standing there. Something even more fascinating happens. The other leaders in the room push back. They say, "Hey, Jeff, Ashish put a lot of work into this, and out of thousands of people, he won, and he's prepared a clear, structured explanation. It would really help us evaluate his idea fairly. Let's let him use the PowerPoint." Now, this is probably rare in a lot of businesses. You have top executives telling Jeff Bezos, arguably the most visionary CEO of our generation, that they disagree with him, and they're telling him to his face. I think that shows you something positive actually about the culture that Bezos built at Amazon. But here comes the lesson. Jeff Bezos listens. He really listens. He waits. He considers the pushback from his team members. Let's let Ashish use the PowerPoint this time. And then he says this, "Okay, this time, but never again." He disagreed, but then he committed. And after he said that, he leaned forward, he watched the slides, and he became one of the most engaged audience members in the room. That's leadership maturity. My friend Ashish breathed a huge sigh of relief, and he said the presentation actually went fantastic. And again, I'm going to pause here to say my friend is super talented. I looked on Gemini and for a little bit of a bio. I mean, I know a lot of this about him, but he's an innovative technology executive with over 30 years of experience at several Fortune 50 companies, specializing in IT strategy, cloud architecture, IT transformation. I just heard him speak at a TED Talk type event on a university campus. Currently, he's the director and global head of capital markets and Google Cloud for Google. He has significant experience in fintech infrastructure and network analytics. He was the CTO for cloud at Wells Fargo. He was high up in JP Morgan. So super talented guy. I love the fact that he also pastors a small church on the side, a world traveler and all that. And I can relate to him and with life and ministry. God's blessed me with owning almost 20 different companies and about 50 real estate properties, commercial, residential. And I'm blessed to have hundreds of employees and oversee several multi-million-dollar companies. But really my passion is teaching and preaching the Bible, and I get to do that on a regular basis as well. So back to this idea of disagree and commit. It's one of Amazon's core leadership philosophies. You don't have to pretend that you love an idea. You don't have to hide your concerns for the idea. You don't need to fake harmony. You can disagree. You can disagree clearly, honestly, respectfully. But when the decision is made by your church or your business or your company, you commit fully, wholeheartedly, without sabotage, without passive aggressive resistance, without, "I told you this wasn't going to work." Bezos modeled it beautifully. He didn't believe in PowerPoint. He didn't want it. He likes, I think, a one-page clear handout. He said so clearly, "I don't think we should do this." But once he saw his team asking for it, once he recognized their unity, once he trusted their judgment, he committed, and he became the best audience member in the room. This principle isn't just good business. I think it's deeply biblical. Let me show you a few passages. Amos 3:3 says, "Can two walk together unless they be agreed?" You need a unity of direction, not necessarily a unity of opinion. In Romans 14, it talks about disputes over doubtful matters. Same thing in 1 Corinthians, the latter part part of 1 Corinthians. Similar conversation. Paul says you will disagree about things, but he emphasizes unity over winning. Acts 15, Paul and Barnabas. They have strong disagreement. They have honest conflict, but still they're both committed to the gospel mission. Philippians 2:2 says it this way: be of the same mind, of one purpose. Same mission, same commitment, though you won't have identical opinions. The Bible doesn't teach that Christian leaders will always agree, but it does teach that Christian leaders should have humility, should walk in unity, should have mutual respect, should have commitment to shared purpose. Bezos stumbled upon something that Scripture affirmed a couple thousand years ago, right? So if you're watching this video, probably you're a Christian leader. You're a pastor, a teacher, an entrepreneur, a parent, a business owner. And conflict is part of your calling. So how do you apply this principle that we're talking about today? Well, let me just walk you through several specific levels of application. If you're a pastor or ministry leader, you won't always agree with your staff. Your staff won't always agree with you. But once you pray, discuss, debate, and come to a decision, then commit together. Don't undermine the direction. Don't stir a quiet resistance. Don't whisper criticisms. Disagree honestly, but when the decision is made, commit wholeheartedly. What about if you're a business leader or an entrepreneur? Your team needs clarity and trust. If they see you commit, even when you disagree with something, they'll follow your example. They'll know that you value unity more than you value ego. What about those of you out there who are parents? Your spouse may see things differently than you, but you need a unified front with your kids. You can discuss your disagreements privately, but publicly as parents, you need to commit together. Your kids need to see that unified front. My wife and I like to say, Mom and I are always on the same team. Don't try to pit us against each other. As a Christian, God often calls you to obey before you understand. Think about it. Noah built a boat before rain existed. Joshua marched around walls instead of attacking them. Peter cast his net after catching nothing all night. They maybe disagreed with the method, but they committed to God, and what happened? Miracles followed. What I like the most about this story is Bezos didn't just tolerate the decision, he honored it. Once he committed, he leaned in, he focused, he valued Ashish's work. He gave the idea its fair chance. And that's what great leaders do, because leadership is not about always being right, it's about being unified. You don't need perfect agreement to move forward, you just need humility. So here's my challenge to you today. Where do you need to disagree and commit? Maybe it's a decision at church, maybe it's a change at your work, a shift in your family, a direction that you think God is leading you or your business. Don't sabotage it. Don't resist it quietly. Don't stew in frustration wishing that people had chosen your way. Do what Bezos did that day. Do what Scripture teaches. Disagree with integrity, commit with unity, and lead with humility. Because when you think about it, leaders, your team, your family, your church, your business, your community, they don't need a leader who's always right. That's none of us. Jesus was the only leader who's always right. They need a leader who's always faithful, and you can be that leader. I believe that God has equipped you to be exactly that leader. Be willing to disagree, but then commit. I hope this video has been helpful to you. Thanks so much for watching it. If you enjoyed it, maybe give it a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Perhaps share it with a friend. Thanks again for watching. It means a lot, and I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day walking with Jesus.